Welcome to the Dental Team Podcast. I'm your host, Kiera Dent, and I have this crazy idea that maybe I could combine a doctor and a team member's perspective because let's face it, dentistry can be a challenging profession with those two perspectives. I've been a dental assistant, treatment coordinator, scheduler, biller, office manager, regional manager, practice owner, and I have a team of traveling consultants where we have traveled to over 165 different offices coaching teams. Yep, we don't just understand you, we are you. Our mission is to positively impact the world of dental, and I believe that this podcast is the greatest way I can help elevate teams, grow VIP experiences, reduce stress, and create A-teams. Welcome to the Dental Team Podcast. Hello, Dental Team listeners. This is Kiera, and today is an incredible day. I am so excited. I've got Mike Buckner with Pearl back on the podcast today. We are going to dive into all the things AI. Mike, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, indeed. I know. I was so excited that when I saw you on the podcast lineup because I thought, oh, okay. So I feel like when you and I first chatted, AI was new. I remember you and I talking about this and thinking all the different pieces. And I was like, Mike, AI is going to take off. And now Pearl has expanded, other AI companies. But I mean, I think 2023, we saw the AI, I would say like wave is coming in and the different things people are doing. I mean, everything is using AI now. All the platforms we're on are using AI. And so it's super cool. I hope people have gotten on the bandwagon with AI within dentistry. But Mike, kind of walk us through. I'm so excited. I know you have some new things, some new studies. You're always full of new things. But before we dive into that, kind of just for our listeners to know what exactly is Pearl. That way, before we dive into it, guys, it's all about AI. But I want Mike to at least tell you what Pearl is, and then we're going to dive into all the stats and statistics around it all over.
Yeah. So Pearl utilizes computer vision, artificial intelligence, to provide a second opinion with your dental x-rays. So your 2D images, your bite wings, your PAs. And Pearl was the first company to bring in FDA-cleared caries detection into dentistry in March of 2022. So it was really interesting watching this journey as we saw, AI started coming in. There was a lot of skepticism. There's a lot of people that were wondering, what is AI? Is it going to replace a dentist? Why would I need artificial intelligence to do my job? There was a lot of misconceptions around that. And so as that came in, and especially with the FDA clearance, we saw a massive adoption of the early adopters that were kind of watching it from the sidelines and starting to get on board. We saw that wave of early adopters, and now kind of what we're seeing, that was early 2022. 2023 is when we really saw the adoption. So we had people that were kind of watching from afar that were now like, okay, now that there's a few different companies that are providing artificial intelligence as a second read or a second opinion, now it was kind of about making the decisions. And so what we saw was towards the end of 2023, it wasn't really, and there was a dentist on a podcast, and I'll give you the information of who exactly that was. But he said, there's a lot of misconception around, is AI here to replace the dentist? And his response was, it's not here to replace a dentist. However, the dentists that are utilizing artificial intelligence will fast replace those that are not, meaning they're the ones that are the forward thinkers. There's the patients now that are reaching out to us that are wanting to know, where are doctors in the area that are utilizing, artificial intelligence, because the patients are now demanding it. So it really is kind of a mix of early adopters that are now getting on board, and now the patients, the patient population that is now also in demand, wanting to know what our doctors are doing in order to enhance the diagnosis in the practice.
Yeah, which is amazing because I think when people realize that it's just a tool, just like x-rays were a tool. I mean, I could hear dentists probably in the past thinking about x-rays coming in to replace them in their job. Like we just have to think about what we feel is normal is not actually normal. There were adoptions into it. There were changes into it. And I think AI is the same, and seeing it as a tool, it's so much better. Like I had offices last year tell me that they were using Pearl to actually train and onboard their new grad associates because it just helped them with diagnosis. And I like, to me, that resonated so much because literally as an assistant, like Mike, I'm going to date myself real quick, which I feel like I'm still super young and hip, but I learned taking x-rays as a dental assistant on film. And I remember taking it on film, and it was so hard for me to get the correct angulation, to get it in the right placement, because you take the x-ray, you go process it, you see the results, and I'm like, oh shoot, I missed it. I cone cut, but I have no idea where my placement was. And so then when digital x-rays came out, I thought, oh my gosh, if people can't get good x-rays now, like you don't know how to take an x-ray, because it was so much easier to get it. I could see that what I did wrong. I could get better x-rays more consistently. And I've thought about that kind of being with AI, where it's not replacing you, but it's helping you see like what you would diagnose just with those 2D x-rays compared to what AI is seeing, and how can you enhance your diagnosis to give better patient care all the way around. And for patients, you better believe that they're smart. I mean, TikTok and all the different things, we're educating our population, maybe also like making us a little more dumb too. Like, I'm not sure which way we're going to go, but we are educating, and people are now expecting these things that I think we're going to need to stay up with the trends a bit faster and more so, just with how quickly the population and social media and all those different things are really moving it around.
Absolutely. There's really kind of two facets here that we need to look at when looking at artificial intelligence. And I think the one is, the clinician, utilizing artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
What are the benefits, and why would they need it, right? And how does it help the clinician? But at the same time, there's also a massive effect on the patient and the patient outcome and case acceptance, because for a long time we've had this issue of trust when it comes to treatment planning.
Right.
And I know that most of the dentists out there don't have this issue because their patients trust them and they understand they've built that relationship. They've done a really good job with that. But there are those patients
Yeah.
that come into the practice and they're looking at the black and white images as the dentist is saying, "Okay, do you see this small little gray spot there?" And the truth of the matter is their eyes have not been trained to view that. And sometimes it's obvious, but other times they're like, I don't see it. I don't
Mhm.
see what you're pointing out. I'm just going off of trust. But
Right.
now with AI and having AI outline the exact area of decay and of disease on the tooth, of periapical radiolucencies, of bone loss, and showing those outlines on the X-ray, we're allowing the patient for the first time to truly see what we're seeing and what the clinician
Mhm.
has been trained to see. So that's number one, is allowing that patient to see it, understand it, and we've seen a massive jump in case acceptance in the practices that utilize it, where we see on average an increase of 25 to 30% case acceptance when the patient can see what's going on those x-rays. Now, on the
Mhm.
clinician side, absolutely. You brought up the point of dental students and associates and the benefit of utilizing it there. I just want to speak really quick to a case study that was done with UCLA this last year in 2023. And this was really cool. But there was 87 dental students that were basically completing caries detection competency exams. And as they were finishing up dental school and taking these exams, they ran a comparison with what the dental students were finding and the accuracy of what they were finding on the X-rays. And they also ran that in conjunction with second opinion, with Pearl second opinion,
Mhm.
and the AI system. What they found was, the dental students, the sensitivity of what was seen on the X-rays was about 53%. Accuracy, specificity was about 50%. Accuracy, the overall accuracy was about 51%. Now,
Wow.
with the AI systems, they found that the sensitivity was around 90% accuracy, specificity was 96%, but the overall accuracy was 94%. There's a massive, massive gap there. And so
Mhm.
allowing these new associates coming into practices to have a tool, not to replace, but just to allow that second opinion, to ensure that the standard of care is set in the practice, and that as things are flagged, it allows the clinicians to come together to view that and to either agree or disagree, because it truly is a second opinion.
Yeah. Well, and I love that you have it as a second opinion. And I think like as clinicians, like at the end of the day, you are the dentist, you are the doctor, and you make final say. AI is just there as a tool to help you, just like x-rays are there as a tool to help you. Just like if you use the Diagadent, it's a tool to help you, but it's not going to replace the feel, the seeing. I mean, I would never in my wildest dreams want to just trust AI, just like you would never in your wildest dreams just trust your hygienist. Like hygienists are there to tee it up and they're looking and they're seeing so much more that you're not seeing. But at the end of the day, you've got to make the clinical sound judgments because you ultimately know what that tooth needs because you're seeing it of what it really needs. But gosh, like I've always felt coming from the clinical background, coming from the different pieces that I have, that we are at such a unique space because reality is we can't see inside these teeth. Like they're just there. We have to try and figure it out. We have to try and figure out what's going on behind the scenes. And yet we're expected to guess, is there decay there? How much decay is there? We're looking at this and trying to guess and figure it out, where AI is just helping us be better with our estimating in something we really can't see. Like you cannot see in that tooth. And I've always thought like we're really trying to play this puzzle game. So I think that that's such an interesting study to see how much better they were able to do with diagnosing. Now, I also think it could become a crutch and you then just rely solely on AI and you don't really like look at it and diagnose it. But I don't know. I'm just such pro. I think we've seen so many good things come from AI. Now, of course, like I'm curious because I think that I look at this and I asked you before and now we even have more information. I feel like with a side where dentists could get kind of burned if they're not careful and adopt AI soon would be through insurance. What have you guys found with insurance using AI, Mike? How are you seeing? Because I guarantee you insurance companies are using AI that's going to cut down the cost of having to pay people. Insurance companies are really smart. They're brilliant businesses. How are we seeing kind of this effect play out into the insurance world?
Yeah, we've been keeping a close eye on that. And, we have been focused on providing a tool for the clinicians to utilize this artificial intelligence as evidence for claims. So we've kind of designed our system around that and providing a PDF printout that has, evidence for claims that can be submitted in with their insurance claims. And what we've seen, we actually did, we had a focus group that was comprised of office managers that were utilizing Pearl to submit, their evidence for claims. And what we found was those practices that had, a lot of denials, especially with SRPs, a lot of denials that were coming back. Once they started utilizing, Pearl's evidence for claims and submitting those in, that their denials started to decrease because,
I bet.
again, you're now outlining all of the measurements, and as it's being submitted in, FDA cleared AI detections on the X-rays, we've seen a massive improvement there of offering that evidence for claims. Now, I think that it's still very early on with how it's being utilized with insurance
Yeah.
companies. The path that Pearl is on right now is we are working towards, and that's really our goal. This next year is working towards almost providing, especially with clearinghouses, almost providing like a stamp of approval, right? That says, okay, this claim or this X-ray has been uh, highlighted and backed by AI, showing that it matches what's being submitted in with the claim, and getting to the point where we can just almost have that instantaneous stamp of approval and turning
Yeah.
around those claims within a matter of days. So that's really where we're
Mhm.
going, is trying to assist the dentist in providing the evidence, turning around those claims faster, and just making the whole process a lot easier.
Yeah, which I think is really fun to hear how it's actually playing out and to hear that this is making the team's lives easier. I mean, I can't imagine as an office manager having the ability to just have it quickly stamp out, say that this is what they saw. It's a backing. I mean, I got so sick of denials, Mike. I can't even tell you how annoying denials are. And to have a way to really just change that and to not have as many denials in the practice, I think is a beautiful thing that we should embrace. So I'm curious though, Mike, like, can you explain how does AI actually work? Like, I'm hearing we're using it for insurance. We're able to use it as a second tool, like a second opinion. I mean, especially I was just thinking, how nice would that be for also solo doctors who don't have another dentist in the practice to bounce ideas off of? This AI is kind of becoming your second person of, let's check this x-ray. What do you see? You have someone in the practice that can be there with you in theory to help you. I think about like new grads and people saying, "Oh, I can't afford AI." And I think, how could you afford not to have AI? It's helping you diagnose even more than what you were seeing and have the patients not just go on your, like 50 shades of gray and like, oh, can you kind of squint and see how there's this little triangle that they really have no clue and they're just trusting us. But like, can you see this? This is what these things are pulling through. AI is doing this. To me, I feel like it's a no-brainer. So how does the AI actually work through Pearl, and how do offices actually implement this?
Yes. So there's really two parts to that. There's a lot of different branches of artificial intelligence. There's computer vision. There's AI that utilizes text and information processing. And really the one that we're focused on is computer vision, breaking down the pixels on the digital x-rays, pixel by pixel, to really kind of put some definition around, what is considered caries, right?
Mhm.
Because, and I mentioned this on an earlier podcast with you, where the human eye can really only see and differentiate between 30 and 50 different shades and tones of gray. But with AI and artificial intelligence, it's able to really expand that to about 500 to 700. And so you're
Mhm.
you're now able to see things. And the benefit of artificial intelligence too is that it does not fatigue. It doesn't. It's going to perform the
Right.
same as 8 o'clock on Monday as 5 o'clock on a Friday when you've had a
Mhm.
long week. Um, and so, to the benefit, pros and cons, it doesn't have that bias, right? So it's going to
Yeah.
provide the same kind of information every time. Now, how this works, let me get back to that question. We actually have kind of two different offerings. And the first offering, which really is kind of the engine that drives everything, is what we call second opinion. And that offers a real time read on x rays that are taken, showing all of the overlay with the colors, showing the different parts of the tooth, where the dentin and the enamel lie, where they start and end, where the decay, progresses or protrudes into each of those different layers, and breaking that down by percentages, saying, you know, 15% of the decay is in the dentin and 13% is in the cementum, and really giving that kind of definition. So that's second opinion. And then we also offer kind of our premium package, which we call practice intelligence, because we know
Mhm.
that there's a lot of information that's found on those digital x-rays as it's ran through artificial intelligence. Now, when we can compare that with what's in the practice management software, so that we can say, all right, here's what the AI found. Now let's actually see what you have treatment planned. And we're going to do that actually for the last 18 months of all your x-rays. So we're going to do a historical analysis. We're going to run them all through AI. We're going to then find what AI found versus what you treatment planned, so that we can, for the first time, really provide that data and information around what your outstanding opportunity, or in other words, potentially undiagnosed opportunity, is in the practice. Now,
Yeah.
I just want to follow up, because sometimes people are like, well, how am I supposed to tell the patient, hey, sorry, we forgot something or we missed something, right? But it's a matter of knowing what patients are coming in that week and getting that view to say, okay, they're coming in on Tuesday. Their last set of x-rays showed these things, but you only treatment plan this. So it's allowing the team, it's changing your morning huddle. It's allowing the team to really hone in and know where they need to be looking, where they need new x-rays, and to compare that with the percentages to say, okay, it was 15% in the dentin last time. Where is it now? Has it progressed?
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
that's the practice intelligence.
Which I think both of them sound incredible to me. I think the thought of having a second opinion just is like, why not? And if you don't like it, you don't have to continue using it. It's very simple. It's an overlay over your x-rays. It's very easy to use. It's very simple for the patient to see. And I will tell you, as a treatment coordinator, and I think I'm a darn good treatment coordinator. If you were to put me up against the best of the best, I think I could rally. And yet the thought of just having this as a tool and a resource, slam dunk cases, you don't have to have a Kiera Dent as your treatment coordinator anymore. You can have someone who's maybe not as confident presenting treatment plans and still be able to close, because it's no longer about the person presenting and how good are they. It's more, here's the facts. Let's help you say yes to this, because here's the facts. Of course, we're going to get you healthy. And I agree with you. I mean, let's just think, guys, whether you chose to diagnose it or not, the decay is still there. And we're not here to say, oh my gosh, these doctors didn't do their work. Dentists, please tell me, can I get an amen on this? Because I know all of you can say this. Your work that you did your first year out of school compared to where you are today, you kind of cringe a little bit and you think, oh my gosh, I did that. I missed that. That's called being a human. And so there's no judgment, there's no fault on that. And your patients with AI, they don't need to know that we missed this 16, 18 months ago. There's no need for them to know that. All it is we now know today that there's decay. That's it. That's all it is. It's not going back and being like, oh my gosh, we went back in the archives and hey, you didn't get this diagnosed. It's none of that. And I think it's all perspective of how you present it. You can tell someone they look good in an outfit or that they don't look good in the outfit. And both ways can either make friends or make enemies. Just like you can present treatment and make friends or make enemies with how you do it. But the goal is never to make you feel incompetent or to make you ever look incompetent, because you're a human. And guess what? Humans miss things, and that's okay. And so just using it as a tool, I just think how cool is it that you have a gold mine of treatment in your practice that you can now present and then also get cases accepted easier. I love the historical analysis. Like, go back in time, find it. Because especially like we have a doctor mastermind group that we do every single month. Mike, you were a speaker and they loved you. But at that one, they were talking about how their schedules are kind of empty right now. And some offices are really struggling with empty schedules. And I just think, well, why not pull through the treatment that's available and then let's strategically call certain patients and get them back in on the schedule to fill our books as well. So many reasons. I am huge Pearl fan. I talk about you guys every time I speak because I just think it's a way to enhance your treatment plan, enhance your patient care, enhance your overall practice, like ability, make it to where not every dentist is diagnosing differently, make it to where the hygienists have an easier way to tee up treatment. Like it becomes the equalizer amongst practices to use it. Do I think in the future that this could become a PBM like they did in pharmacy? Absolutely, guys. But let's be smart and let's be on the bandwagon first and let's prevent it and let's use it in our practices, because who knows when that'll come in. I guarantee you people will be using it for different reasons. Why not use it now and let's make it great and prepare for it when it comes later on. So those are my thoughts. I'm a huge believer in it. I think we should do it. I think if I owned a practice, I would be implementing Pearl or some AI just so that way we were consistently diagnosing. I love that you talked about the human fatigue because it's real. I remember my x-rays and my dentistry, like assisting wise, I was way better on Monday. And Tuesday, after I got into the rhythm, like, think about coming back off of vacation. I was a junk assistant for about 2 days, just trying to get back into the ring of it and to realize like AI doesn't ever sleep. It doesn't need a break. It doesn't need to eat. It's consistently putting out the same results every time. I just think it gives you a leg up, an ace in your hand with minimal effort on your part. So Mike, thanks for being here. I appreciate you guys so much. I truly appreciate you. And as always, thanks for listening. And I'll catch you next time on the Dental A Team podcast. And that wraps it up for another episode of the Dental A Team podcast. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll talk to you next time.